It is safe to say that this book contains slurs, racial and otherwise, and I debated at some length whether to include them. In the end, I decided to keep any offensive quotes untouched, because the words people choose matter. It is not my place to take offense on behalf of others, nor would I want to make the opinions and statements presented by the subjects any more or less offensive than they are. This book also contains scenes of violence. Some of these events were reported to the police, others weren't. There were instances during the reporting for this book when I witnessed extreme violence and did nothing to stop it. I believe that for my own safety, and for the safety of those with me at the time, I had no other choice. For that reason, some names in this book have been altered. The social cost of being active in white nationalist or supremacist groups can be considerable, and for those who weren't prepared to participate with their full names, I made allowances. I pushed back against most requests for anonymity, and afforded it only to those whose jobs and personal safety would be affected. Most names remain intact. The reporting for this book always took place with the full knowledge and consent of my subjects. I never concealed who I was or presented myself as anything but a journalist. For the very few scenes in the book where I wasn't present, I have relied on first-hand witness accounts, which I have corroborated as far as possible. Descriptions of inner monologues are based on extensive interviews. Descriptions of events that took place before my time are based on the reporting and research of others. For terminology, I have tried to keep things as orderly as I could. The white nationalist movement is awash with different terms for seemingly similar beliefs, and figuring out what to call these different factions and ideologies is a daunting affair. There are those who believe that everyone on the radical right, from the so-called alt-right to the skinheads, should be called Nazis, and it is a point well taken. They all show an affinity for the words and teachings of Adolf Hitler, so calling them all neo-Nazis makes sense. However, the terms Nazi or neo-Nazi refer specifically to National Socialists, and because there is a distinct faction within the far right that identifies as National Socialist, using the terms Nazi, neo-Nazi, or National Socialist as a catch-all term becomes problematic, because it makes it impossible to describe the actual Nazis in the movement. White supremacist is similarly problematic, because it assumes that everyone in the movement believes the white race is superior to others. Although there certainly is a large contingent of those who believe in the inferiority of any race that isn't white, there are also those who don't, so labeling everyone white supremacist becomes an oversimplification. I have chosen, then, to use the terms white nationalist movement, the far right, or the radical right. These terms aren't perfect. Some might argue, and rightly so, that these terms are either too facile or too generous, but I've tried to be as specific as possible when the situation requires. If I'd set out to write this book with the goal of understanding the far right, or perhaps more broadly racism and bigotry, then what I have learned is perhaps unsatisfactory. As much as I would like to have found one single underlying reason for racism and bigotry, I cannot say that I have. There are many contributing factors, and even identifying those is not enough to provide a satisfactory explanation for far-right ideology. Social status, income, education, location, these are all elements that contribute to a person's worldview, but they cannot paint a complete picture. It is often said that the KKK is generational. You join the Klan because your father was in the Klan, and his father before him. This is also patently untrue. I met many men and women in the Klan who were first generation. But even if it weren't, it wouldn't sufficiently explain why its members believe the white race is superior. In our current world, information is ubiquitous, and simply being raised with certain beliefs isn't an excuse for maintaining those beliefs. Even Klansmen know that their worldview isn't considered appropriate. Poverty also isn't enough to explain the rise of racist nationalism. It is quite possible to be poor and tolerant. Perhaps the answer to why some people believe in the inferiority of other races lies in how we see ourselves. Richard Spencer, the person who first came up with the term alt-right,